You know puppy training is a big deal, right? Like there are, seriously, tons of books and videos and courses all about it. But who has time for all that? We wanted to break it all down to the top 10 commands you absolutely need to teach your pup first. And to make it even easier, we've got links to some great training tools in the show notes below.
Oh yeah, it can definitely feel overwhelming, like where do you even begin? But if you focus on these foundational commands, you're really setting yourself and your pup up for success.
Okay, so first things first, name recognition. It seems pretty basic, but why is it so important?
Well, it's like you're laying the foundation for a house. If your puppy doesn't know their name, it's tough to get their attention. You can't teach them anything else.
Right, right.
So a puppy who reliably responds to their name, they're ready to learn, and it really sets the stage for a strong training bond.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So once they know who they are, what's next?
And this one can actually be a real lifesaver.
Okay.
Think about it. Your pup slips out of their leash and darts toward a busy road. Having a rock-solid recall can make all the difference.
Yeah, one of the sources we read described a puppy getting tangled in barbed wire while chasing a butterfly. It really emphasized how come isn't just about obedience. It's about their safety, too.
Absolutely. It's your emergency button in those unexpected, potentially dangerous situations.
All right, so we've got name recognition and come down. What's the next command we should tackle?
Sit. It's like teaching your puppy the magic word, please.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It's their way of saying, hey, I'm being polite, can I have that treat now?
Exactly, and it's not just about getting treats right. Like sit can be super helpful for managing your pup's energy and teaching them impulse control. For example, if you have guests over, having your puppy sit calmly before they get petted makes the whole thing so much smoother.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of impulse control, I bet stay comes in pretty handy there too.
Oh, you bet stay. It takes things a step further by teaching your pup to hold that sit for a longer period of time, even with distractions around.
Our sources were actually really specific about the difference between stay and wait. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. Stay means your puppy needs to remain in that position no matter what until you release them. It's like hitting the pause button on their actions. Wait, on the other hand, is more of a temporary hold, like wait here while I open the door, or wait until I put your food down.
So stay is for those situations where you need absolute stillness, like waiting at a crosswalk, while wait is more for everyday interactions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to another command that's all about resisting temptation. Leave it.
Oh, this one's crucial, especially for those pups who love to explore the world with their mouths.
Oh, you're telling me, imagine you're at the park and your pup spots a half-eaten sandwich on the ground.
Uh-oh.
Leave it can literally save them from a stomachache or worse.
One of our sources mentioned how leave it can even be helpful beyond food, like preventing your pup from chewing on electrical cords or grabbing something dangerous off a shelf.
That's a great point. It teaches them that not everything is fair game and helps them make safer choices even when you're not around to supervise.
Okay, so after leave it, where do we go next on our top 10 list?
Let's talk about down, or lie down, which is a great command for encouraging calmness and relaxation.
I can see how that would be helpful, especially for those high-energy pups who are always on the go.
It's a great way to de-escalate a situation. If your pup is getting overly excited or anxious, it sends a clear message to settle down and chill out.
One of the sources pointed out how down can even be helpful for calming your pup down in a new environment or during a potentially stressful situation like a vet visit.
Absolutely. It gives them a sense of security and a familiar behavior to fall back on when they're feeling overwhelmed.
All right, now let's talk about, I know we touched on it briefly earlier when we were talking about stay, but what are some other situations where this command comes in handy?
Well, one common scenario is managing your pup's excitement at the door.
Oh, the dreaded DoorDash. I've definitely experienced that one.
Right. It can be dangerous if they bolt out the door before you're ready. Wait at the door teaches them patience and impulse control, ensuring everyone stays safe.
It also sets the stage for polite greetings when people come over, right? No more jumping all over guests.
Exactly. It helps your pup understand that good things come to those who wait. And speaking of waiting patiently, watch me, or focus, is another command that's really helpful for building that connection and attention span.
This one seems particularly important if you're thinking about doing any dog sports or activities that require focus, like agility.
You're absolutely right. Watch me teaches your pup to tune out distractions and pay attention to you, even in stimulating environments. It's all about building that focus and responsiveness, which is crucial for so many aspects of training and everyday life.
So we've covered name recognition: come, sit, stay, leave it down, wait, and watch me.
What's next on our list of essential commands?
Heel. This one is all about teaching your puppy to walk politely by your side, making those walks so much more enjoyable for both of you. I can imagine. No more getting dragged down the street by an enthusiastic pup.
Exactly. Heel teaches your pup to walk calmly and politely without pulling or lunging. It also lays the groundwork for off-leash freedom in the future.
One of our sources actually pointed out that teaching heel can also strengthen your bond with your pup because it encourages them to pay attention to you and move in sync with you.
That's such a good point. It creates a sense of teamwork and partnership between you and your furry friend.
And finally, we have off, a command that's all about setting boundaries and preventing unwanted behaviors.
Right. This one is essential for teaching your pup to respect your furniture, personal space, and guests. It can also be used to redirect them from chewing on inappropriate objects or engaging in other behaviors you'd rather they avoid.
So off is like teaching them the boundaries of their little doggy world. It's about creating a harmonious living environment for both of you.
Exactly. And it's about helping them understand what behaviors are acceptable and which ones are not.
All right, so we've covered all 10 essential commands. There's a lot of information, but I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
You're absolutely right. We've laid the foundation, but the journey of puppy training is ongoing. There's always something new to learn and teach, and it's all about building a strong and loving relationship with your furry companion.
I completely agree. And remember, we've got links to some fantastic training tools in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. What are some common pitfalls people run into when they actually start training?
One of the biggest mistakes is waiting too long to start trains. Puppies are like little sponges soaking up information from the moment they're born.
So we shouldn't wait for them to be fully vaccinated or hit a certain age.
Nope, the earlier the better. You can start with basic socialization and handling exercises right away, then gradually introduce commands as they grow.
That makes sense. The sources we dug into also really stress consistency as being so important.
It's like you're speaking a different language to your pup every day if you're not consistent. They need clear, predictable cues and rewards to understand what you're asking.
So using the same words for commands, having set training routines, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And on that note, let's talk about the power of positive reinforcement.
Okay, this is where the treats come in.
Treats are definitely helpful, but positive reinforcement is about more than just food rewards. It's about making the learning process fun and motivating for your puppy.
So things like verbal praise, a happy tone of voice, maybe even a little play session after a job well done.
You got it. It's about creating positive associations with training, so your puppy sees it as a fun bonding experience, not a chore.
Speaking of positive experiences, the sources also emphasize that training shouldn't be a drill sergeant routine.
Right, you want to keep those training sessions short, sweet, and engaging. Puppies have short attention spans, so it's better to have several short sessions throughout the day than one long, drawn-out one.
And it's about making it fun, right? Like turning those commands into little games or incorporating them into playtime.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that every puppy learns at their own pace. Some might pick things up right away, while others need a little more time and patience.
So no comparing your pup to the neighbor's dog who's already doing backflips.
Exactly. Focus on celebrating your puppy's progress, no matter how big or small. Now let's circle back to a few specific scenarios where those top 10 commands really shine.
One that comes to mind is managing a puppy's excitement at the door. I mean, who hasn't experienced their pup turning into a furry rocket the second the doorbell rings?
Wait at the door is crucial not only for preventing those embarrassing door dashes, but also for keeping your pup safe. It teaches them patience and prevents them from bolting out into a potentially dangerous situation.
Plus, it sets the stage for polite greetings when guests arrive. No more jumping all over everyone.
Absolutely. Now, another scenario where those commands are super helpful is navigating interactions with other dogs and people.
Especially in busy environments like dog parks or crowded sidewalks, right?
Precisely, come is your lifeline in those situations. It allows you to quickly recall your pup if they get a little too rambunctious or if a situation feels unsafe.
And commands like leave it and off can help prevent those embarrassing moments where your pup tries to snatch a snack off a stranger's plate or jumps all over someone in their best clothes.
Exactly. It's about teaching your pup to be a well-mannered member of the canine community and ensuring everyone, including your pup, feels safe and comfortable.
So those top 10 commands really do set the stage for a well-adjusted, well-behaved dog, even beyond those specific scenarios.
Absolutely. And it's never too late to start. Even if you have an older dog who hasn't had much formal training, you can still teach them these commands and see amazing results.
That's so encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It's really all about patience, consistency, and using those positive reinforcement techniques we talked about.
Right. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to emphasize one more thing: making training fun. It shouldn't feel like a chore for either you or your puppy.
I totally agree. We've touched on this a bit, but any more tips on how to keep those training sessions engaging?
Get creative. Incorporate games, use different toys and rewards, and find what motivates your pup. Remember, training is about building a strong bond and having fun with your furry friend.
I love that. So we've covered the essentials, some common mistakes to avoid, and even some specific scenarios where those commands are super valuable. What else should our listeners keep in mind as they embark on their puppy training adventures?
One of the sources highlighted the importance of paying attention to your puppy's body language. It's their way of communicating with you, and understanding those signals can make training so much smoother.
Okay, so things like tail wags, ear position, even the way they hold their mouth can give us clues about how they're feeling.
Exactly. Learning to read those cues will help you understand if your buddy is engaged and enjoying the training session, or if they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like learning to speak their language. And if we're talking about communication, another key point from our sources is to be clear and consistent with our own signals.
You're referring to using clear hand signals and body language along with verbal cues, right?
Precisely. It's about making sure our communication is consistent and easy for our pups to understand.
And speaking of making things easy, choosing the right training environment can also make a world of difference.
So starting in a quiet, distraction-free area before gradually introducing more challenging environments.
Exactly. It's about setting your puppy up for success by gradually increasing the difficulty level as they progress.
All right, so we've talked about body language, clear communication, and choosing the right environment. Anything else we should touch on before we move on to the final part of our deep dive?
One more thing that's super important: knowing when to seek professional help. If you're struggling with certain behaviors, or if your puppy isn't progressing as you'd hoped, don't hesitate to reach out to a certified dog trainer.
They can provide personalized guidance and support, right? Sort of like a personal trainer, but for your pup.
Exactly. They can help you troubleshoot any challenges you're facing and create a training plan that's tailored to your puppy's individual needs.
All right, so we've covered a ton of ground in this part of our deep dive. We talk about common training mistakes, specific scenarios where those top 10 commands shine, and even some extra tips on communication and finding professional support.
We've equipped you with the knowledge and tools to start your puppy training journey with confidence.
What happens after we've mastered the basics?
Well, think of those 10 commands like a launching pad. Once your pup has a solid foundation, there's a whole new world of training possibilities that opens up.
So things like fun tricks, maybe even like exploring dog sports like agility or obedience.
Exactly. You can start teaching your pup things like shake, roll over, or even play dead. It's about keeping the training fun and engaging while building on those skills they've already learned.
One of the sources we looked at mentioned how teaching tricks can actually be good for a puppy's brain. Like it helps them with mental stimulation and problem-solving abilities.
It definitely keeps them engaged and challenges them in new ways. And if you're interested in dog sports, those basic commands are really the building blocks for more advanced training.
So things like heel and stay become even more important when you're navigating an agility course or competing in obedience trials.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of continuing to practice those basic commands even as you move on to more advanced skills.
It's like a musician practicing their scales, even as they're learning harder pieces.
You got it. Consistency is key. Now, beyond tricks and dog sports, there's a whole other area of training focused on real-life skills that can make your pup an even better companion.
Things like teaching them to settle down calmly in different environments, maybe even training them to help with certain tasks.
Absolutely. You can teach your pup to relax in a cafe walk, politely past other dogs on the street, or even retrieve certain things like your slippers or the TV remote.
That's awesome. It's like taking those basic commands and actually using them in real life, making your pup a true partner in your everyday life.
Exactly. And remember, training is a journey. It never really ends. There's always something new to learn and teach, and it's all about strengthening that bond you have with your dog.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into puppy training, what's the one thing our listeners should really take away from all of this?
I think it's this approach training with patience, positivity, and a sense of fun. It's not just about teaching commands. It's about building a strong and loving relationship with your pup and helping them be happy and well-adjusted in the human world.
I love that. And remember, those top 10 commands are just the beginning. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those tails wagging. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and be sure to check out the show notes for all those training resources we mentioned. Until next time, happy training.